Good morning, or depending on when you're listening to this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice for radio, so today I'm going to show you round one from an expanded league challenge that we had in Sheffield in the UK. Quick shout out and thank you to PokeSock Sheffield. I will hopefully be able to put a link to them in the description. They are the lovely people who allowed us to record. Just letting you know, we are in the expanded format here, which means we are black and white to Ancient Origins, and due to time constraints on the day, we are playing single game. Round 2 features a couple of perennial Worlds competitors. We've got Ryan Moorhouse, who has gotten tantalisingly close to cutting Worlds the last 2 years. He is going to be playing Blastoise. And we've got Tamao Cameron, who has cut Worlds before. Both of these chaps have been the last couple years, and let's face it, they're going to go every year they want to. So this, ladies and gentlemen, should be a doozy. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so this game should be an absolute treat for you. We have two excellent players here. We've got Ryan, I almost top cut Worlds every year now, and Tamao, I play at Worlds every year, and I'm pretty gosh darn good as well. Cameron. Now, they've both had pretty bad starters. Ryan starts with an Execute, Tamao starts with a Hooper EX, and Tamao goes straight for the Computer Search. Now, the good news for Ryan is that Tamao's deck does not play Laser Verbank. Remember, we are in expanded here, lasers are here. Given that Tamao has got a Computer Search, there is probably a decent chance he could have had the Laser Verbank. Were he playing a deck that played Laser Verbank? But of course he's not, so that's a moot point, and we can just move on with our lives. Now, I did tell you about, on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, I hinted towards Tamao's deck. I haven't talked about it on the podcast yet, but I don't need to because we're going to see it here, and it is an absolute beauty. So, he's got the Hooper in the active, which is a bad thing, because firstly, it doesn't really do anything in terms of attacking, but secondly, the Hooper's got the really good ability to search for free Pokemon EX, so we don't get to use that ability either, which is a bit of a pain. Junipering an Electric, and here it looks like we got our traditional expanded Electric deck. Electric, for those that haven't been playing very long, is basically Bronzong but for Electric, which is weird because initially when Bronzong came out I would call it Electric but for Metal. You get to attach an electric energy from your discard to one of your benched Pokemon. So he gets the Caldeo and the Floatstone down, which gives him the ability to perma-switch. And he's got a level ball as well, has been reprinted, but using the Noble Victories one because that's what all the cool kids are doing. And he gets a couple of Dynamos. This is a really good start for Tamao here. What you want to do with this Rayquaza deck, nice and early, is you want to get at least really 2 electrics out turn 2, which is look like he's going to get, and you need the fire energy on the Rayquaza. Now, the ideal here is that you get the 1 fire energy on Rayquaza, and then you continually restore the electric energy using the electric's ability, because you have to discard either electric or fire, and you do 60 times the amount of energy you discard. So obviously what you want to be doing, and it's a minimum 1 fire, 1 lightning. So you put 1 fire on and you attach and discard the electric as you go. It really is a very powerful card when you get going. And the good news for Tamao, like I say, he's got that Caldeo down, so having a Hooper in the active position is not a huge deal. Tamao here, if he can just get 3 electrics out, and there we go. Did you notice that? He's also playing, and this is a wonderful combo, he's playing the colourless Mega Rayquaza. So he can either use the big attack with Electric, which discards energy and does 60 times, or he can do 30 times the number of bench Pokemon with the Mega Rayquaza. It gives you options here, which is really quite funky. So, Ryan, he's playing Blastoise, and he gets a turn 1 Computer Search. And I don't know if it's Jacob Van Wagner's list. I did play Ryan in this tournament. It is at least very close. I can't tell you if it's the exact list, but I have done a video with a breakdown of that list if you want to go check it out. So Ryan here, he's going to want to get a Blastoise in the discard pile, and there's a Battle Compressor which will allow him to do so. And he's going to want to end up with either an Archie's or a VS Seeker with an Archie's in the discard as the final card in his hand. So he's probably going to go Blastoise and Archie's here. And he gets the other Execute in the discard pile for obvious reasons. Now, Ryan is also playing a Caldeo heavy deck. That is his main attacker. So the wonderful thing here is that actually that Execute start won't have disadvantaged him like it will a lot of people, and he can actually use it to force Tamao into a 7-prize game. So starting Execute could turn out to be a good thing. Although if you ever leave Execute in the active, your opponent will try and Lysandre around it so they don't have to, go into a 7-prize game or kill the Execute. Now, Ryan's gone for a water energy there. Remember, you can get those water energy back with superior energy retrieval, although he has already killed 2 of them so far. But Ryan there, he's going for the Jirachi. And this is why I believe you need to play 2 Maxis or Archies. So then you can put 1 in a discard pile to use VS Seeker and keep 1 in a deck for Jirachi. So I can't remember what those other 2 cards in Ryan's hand are, but as long as he can play those other 2 cards, he can then play the Archies. He's already got the Blastoise in the discard pile, and he's gone. It's a Caldeo and a Muscle Band. There goes the Archie's ace in the hole. He gets the turn 1 Blastoise. He draws till he's got 5 cards in his hand, and now he is off and rolling. We see a Trainer's Mail and a Shaman. And we see a superior energy retrieval here. So it looks like we're going to be getting into some kind of EX smackdown going on here. Ryan's got a battle compressor, which means he's going to be able to discard free energy and then get them back with superior energy retrieval. The big thing which Ryan does need to watch here, I believe this will be his 3rd superior energy retrieval. And obviously if you're piling 6 or 7 energy onto a Caldeo to get a KO, you do run into the problem of what if they then get KO'd, all your energy is in the discard pile, and you run out of superior energy retrievals. But Ryan is, as I say, he's an exceptional player. He will have done the maths here. Or math if you're American. Now, Hooper EX, he is sitting there with 170 HP, which means 5 energy and a muscle band will do 170 and get the KO. It looks like Ryan's got the 5 energy and the Caldeo and the muscle band, which means he's got the turn 1 KO, which is just phenomenal. Now, ideally here, he'd get a Caldeo or a Mewtwo down. The one thing he's going to have to watch is that getting rid of a Mega Rayquaza is going to be a bit of a pain in the neck, because that bad boy's got a lot of HP. Your Mega Rayquaza EX, you're not talking 170 HP that... And there we see Execute coming in there, which is really, really quite useful in being able to limit your discards. That Mega Rayquaza EX, he's got 220. That's 50 more damage, and we do get the second Caldeo there, which Ryan wanted. He doesn't want to be left without an attacker. Which means, 50 more damage is 3 more energy. That's 8 energy and a muscle band. Or 9 energy, which is 180 plus the 50 standard is 230. That is a lot of energy to take out those megas. But Ryan doesn't necessarily need to take out the megas. He's now in the driving seat. He can use Lysander 2 turns in a row, taking out the Caldeo and the Shaman. Of course, Tamao just needs 2 energy on that Rayquaza, and he's going to need 1 more bench Pokemon, with a Skyfield, of course, in order to do 180 and get the KO. And if Tamao has got a Rayquaza doing a 1-hit KO, then Ryan is going to keep having to get the the Caldeos out to get the KO. Of course, the other thing to consider is that even if Ryan, what I'm saying is that if Ryan doesn't take out the Rayquazas, Tamao's just going to be able to keep using the Rayquaza every turn anyway. But of course, if he gets 2 Electric out, he can still do that, because with Electric, it's very easy to get Rayquaza rolling every turn. I do hope that made sense. Now, Tamao, he's got nothing, and that's a problem. He just used the Electric's attack. It's the 30 HP one, but it's the one that's got the, if you flip heads, you get to do a paralysis. It doesn't look like he hit heads, and I believe he played a Hex Maniac last turn as well, which is an inspired play, because it basically turns off Ryan's Caldeo. So if he can hit the paralysis, Ryan's not playing switches in this deck. You don't need to play switch when you're playing multiple Caldeo. But if your opponent plays Hex Maniac, it turns it off. I believe, however, that is irrelevant, because the Caldeo hasn't been turned to the side, so it looks like Tamao missed the flip. So things are very much going in Ryan's they're going his way at the moment. Ryan's going to get the prize here, but what he really wants to do is try and hit a Lysandre and get some energy on that bench Keldeo, in which case he's just hit Lysandre for the win at any point. But he doesn't get that, and this isn't the end of the world, of course, because Tamao now can only get one electric going. Now, he has got that second fire energy that he could potentially put down, but the problem with putting the fire energy down is that Tamao's probably only playing 2 or 3 fire energy, which isn't a big deal if you're using the colourless Mega Rayquaza, but if he wants to transition into using the Dragon Rayquaza, then he really is going to be struggling with the fire energy. Now, he puts down the Victini there and essentially just passes because he really is drawing dead, which is a terrible shame. Now, that Victini is the V-Create Victini. If you've got at least 5 Pokemon on your bench, it used to be a full bench, but of course with Skyfield you can just have 5 out of 8 now. It does 100 damage for just 2 energy, a fire and a colourless, which makes it a good little ancillary attacker. Now, unfortunately, we are not seeing the best of Tamao's deck here, which is an awful shame because it's a wonderful deck. It's a really, really good deck. And I'll tell you that Tamao did have, I don't know exactly how this round goes out, although I can make a guess based on the results, but I can tell you that Tamao's deck does do well at this tournament. Tamao does get off a whole bunch of wins. It's a very good deck. And you saw how good his turn 1 was. But even playing so many cards and dropping a Shaman, he seems to have drawn into nothing, which... it's really sad. I don't like this. This should have been a really good kind of powerhouse 2 big decks smashing each other with big EXs. Ryan trying to get 1-hit KOs with Keldeo, while Tamao tried to get 1-hit KOs with Rayquaza or Mega Rayquaza. And given that Ryan had to get rid of so many superior energy retrieval early, there is a chance that had Tamao knocked out a couple of Keldeo, that Ryan could have been struggling. Mewtwo ain't going to do very much, because Tamao's only going to ever have 3 energy on a Rayquaza at the most. And if he uses a Dragon Rayquaza, remember, you discard all the lightning and just keep 1 fire energy on there. So Mewtwo's not going to do much damage at all. Your opponent's only adding 20 damage. 60 if they're using the colourless Rayquaza, but then they have 220 HP. So Mewtwo's pretty much ineffective in this kind of matchup. Mewtwo's good when your opponent's putting down loads of energy, and a Mega with 3 energy or a regular EX with 1 doesn't cut it. Now, you see what Ryan's doing here, and this is a mark of a really good player. He's being very careful. He knows he's already 4 prizes up. He's going to be 4 prizes up and just be a Lysandre away from winning. He also recognises that if Tamao just gets off a couple KOs in a row, Ryan's going to be struggling. So Ryan is playing these turns very carefully. He's not sitting there thinking he's won. He's doing everything nicely. He's also hitting that Victini for a ridiculous amount of damage, which is just a little bit sad, really. I mean, that Victini's weak to water. So he's actually doing 340 damage to that Victini. That's a little bit overkill. He's only got 70 HP. Now we're in the danger zone for Tamao, because Tamao's only got 2 prizes left. It means, when he's finally hit the VS Seeker, does he have anything in the discard pile? He does. He played those 2 Junipers early game. But he's going for a Colress instead, which of course gets him 9 cards? 9 cards rather than the 7. So, is it going to be too little too late? We hope not. If Tamao can get a bunch of bench... he's going to need 6 bench Pokemon. He's got the Skyfield, so if he can drop 2 more basics, he's got the KO here. Now, we see the Professor's Letter. That'll get him the 3rd energy he needs. He's got enough energy for the Rayquaza. He's currently doing 120 because of the 4 bench Pokemon. He's going to be able to retreat the Keldeo using Floatstone. He's got the energy, so as long as he can drop 2 basic Pokemon, he is getting the KO on the Keldeo. And that's going to put some pressure on Ryan. The question is going to be, can Ryan take another KO? Now, as I said, it's going to take 9 energy. Remember, 20 damage per energy, times 9 is 180, as we see the Super Rod coming down from Tamao. Plus the 50 base damage will be 230 and get the KO. Assuming, and there goes the Electric, which is going to get him an energy as well, which will be lovely. Assuming that Ryan plays 1 Muscle Band, which Jacob's List did, he's going to need 9 energy. Bearing in mind he's only got 1 superior energy retrieval left, and that only gets him 4 energy. I believe he's gotten rid of 3. Now, we see the Lysandra in hand. The other option is that he just waits to get the KO with a Lysandra, because killing the Shaman, all he's going to need is 3 energy, because that will do 110. So if he's got and he doesn't seem to have an energy. So what he's going to have to do is essentially hold off, hope he hits an energy and Lysandra the Shaman, because this is a sad thing for Tamao and his fairly poor start here. I say fairly poor, very poor start. It's really difficult. And there he's got the requisite bench Pokemon. It's really difficult for a Keldeo to knock out a Mega Rayquaza. There goes the Tool Scrapper, which doesn't make a huge difference, to be honest. But it's, it's nice that he gets it down. And were Ryan not down to 2 prizes, Tamao could potentially run away with this game in the next 3 turns. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Tamao's going to need to get a KO this turn, and then he's going to need to KO that benched Keldeo. Now, if he does, he's going to win the game. There's no way Ryan's going to get another Keldeo with all that energy and the Lysandra before Tamao has 1 more turn. But if Ryan can just have 1 energy here, now I believe Tamao played a Sycamore last turn, so Ryan can just put, the Execute active, and then try and rush in with Keldeo if he hits what he needs. I'm not sure. I thought Tamao played a Sycamore last time. I could be wrong. There goes the Trainer's Mail. He's obviously looking... Oh, and he sees the energy there. He was obviously looking for his last superior energy retrieval. That would have won him the game. So he knows he's got VS Seekers left. What he could do is Juniper this turn and hope to have a VS Seeker or a Lysandra next turn. Give himself a card advantage. But if Tamao's got a Lysandra and he gets that Keldeo, or even if he just KOs the Blastoise, that's going to be a problem. Now, he does get another Keldeo down, and we know he's got, assuming it's not price, he's got 1 more superior energy retrieval, and we know he's going to be able to, have at least 1 turn after this. So what he could do is just Juniper here, and Tamao can't KO both Keldeo, and then hope he hits a VS Seeker or a Lysandra with his last superior energy retrieval off the Juniper. That would be one route he could go here. You see he's got a VS Seeker in hand, so it's a bit of a risky play, but Tamao is essentially 2 turns from winning here. So there comes down the Shaman, and he's got the energy, he's got the Lysandra. That will be the game. And there we go. Unfortunately, a little bit sidetracked by how good a start Ryan had compared to Tamao. Ryan's deck is ludicrously consistent, so his good start should not be surprising. Tamao's deck is not inconsistent, he just had a bad game, which is a little bit sad, but that's the way these things go. 2 very good players, 2 very good decks, and even though you saw one player draw a bit badly, you saw some good play, you saw some good decks. Hopefully, it was very much worth it. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I should point out that Tamao's mat is drawn by the same lady who drew Nick's mat in the videos we saw from the Norwich League challenge that went up recently. So do look into that if you're looking for a custom mat made. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back with round 3 very shortly. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.